The week after serving the papers was a masterclass in hostile cohabitation. We moved around each other like ghosts, communicating only through terse notes on the fridge about the kids' schedules. Lucas and Emma knew something was terribly wrong. The forced cheerfulness was unbearable. Emma asked, "Did you and Mommy have a fight?" I could only say, "Grown-ups sometimes have disagreements, but we both love you more than anything." It felt like the most honest and dishonest thing I'd ever said. My life became a split screen. On one side, making lunches, helping with homework, pretending everything was okay. On the other, constant communication with Farnsworth, gathering financial affidavits, and preparing for the first major legal hurdle, the temporary orders hearing. Its purpose was to establish rules while the divorce played out: who lived where, who paid for what, and most importantly, a temporary custody schedule. Jessica lawyered up, too. She hired Diane Carlisle, known in local circles as the Barracuda. It told me everything about her intended approach: aggressive, no holds barred. Our first legal meeting, a mediation session required before a hearing, was a disaster. It was held in a conference room at her lawyer's office. Jessica, dressed in a severe, professional suit, sat across from me. She didn't look at me once. Diane Carlisle opened with a character assassination disguised as a negotiation position. Given the volatile and emotionally unstable behavior Mr. Thompson has exhibited, including stalking my client, draining marital assets unilaterally, and making threats, we are seeking primary physical custody. We propose a schedule of every other weekend and one dinner visit per week for him, with supervised exchanges. I felt the blood drain from my face. Supervised exchanges. Like I was a danger to my own children. Farnsworth didn't flinch. "Your allegations are baseless and defamatory. My client has documented proof of your client's extramarital affair, including dissipation of marital funds on her paramour. His actions were to secure marital assets from further misuse. We will be seeking primary custody based on my client's role as the more stable, present parent, and your client's pattern of deceit and irresponsible behavior that has introduced instability into the home." Jessica finally spoke, her voice a trembling, performative whisper. "I'm so afraid of him. He follows me. He's obsessed." A single tear traced down her cheek. It was an Oscar-worthy moment. The mediator, a tired-looking man, sighed. "It's clear we are not in a position to agree. We are recommending the matter go to a temporary orders hearing before Judge Rodriguez next week." The hearing was a terrifying, formal affair. We sat at separate tables. Judge Rodriguez, a woman with sharp eyes and no patience, listened as Carlisle laid out her case: the stalking, the financial predation, my emotional distance, that had damaged the marital union. Then it was Farnsworth's turn. He was methodical. He entered the evidence into the record. The hotel receipt. The credit card statement with the hotel charge. The photos of the kiss. The gift receipt for the wine. The dry cleaning ticket. A printed log of the phone records, showing the constant contact. "Your Honor," he said, "this is not a case of a neglected wife. This is a case of a deliberate, ongoing, and concealed affair." Mrs. Thompson's first instinct upon discovery was not to end the affair or seek counseling, but to lie about its extent and continue it, as evidenced by these photos taken after her claimed termination of the relationship. Mr. Thompson's actions, while perhaps zealous, were those of a spouse uncovering a profound betrayal. He is the parent who has remained in the home, ensuring routine and stability for the children. The judge looked at Jessica. "Mrs. Thompson, is that you in these photographs with Mr. She consulted the file Reynolds. Jessica paled. "Yes, but..." "And was the marital credit card used for this hotel stay?" It was a business dinner that ran late, and I had too much wine to drive, so..." "So you obtained a room for the night?" "With Mr. Reynolds." Jessica fell silent, the lie dying in her throat under the judge's gaze. The ruling came quickly. Given the evidence of an ongoing affair and the dissipation of marital funds, the court finds the father's request for stability has merit. Pending final divorce, the temporary orders are as follows: both parties are enjoined from dissipating any marital assets. The current residence shall be listed for sale, with proceeds held in escrow. Given the high conflict, a nesting arrangement is not suitable. Mr. Thompson shall retain occupancy of the marital home with the minor children. Mrs. Thompson shall vacate within 72 hours. She is granted parenting time every other weekend from Friday after school until Sunday at 7 p.m. and one overnight each Wednesday. Exchanges will occur at school or a public neutral location. It was a victory. A huge one. But watching Jessica's face crumple in real, unperformative shock and horror, I felt no triumph. Only a profound sadness. Lucas and Emma would now only see their mother on a schedule. I had won the house, but it felt like a tomb I'd have to explain to my children. That night, as she packed suitcases in our bedroom, the bitchy facade was gone, replaced by a hollow-eyed devastation. "You've taken my children," she said, her voice empty. "No," I said quietly from the doorway. "You did that when you chose Chase over them. You just didn't know it yet." She had no retort. For the first time, she was fresh out of lies. The emotional impact now was a deep, weary ache. The battlefield was defined, the first skirmish won, but the cost was everywhere, in the empty side of the closet, in the confused questions from my son, in the unbearable silence of a house that was now only half a home. The 72 hours came and went. Jessica moved into a sleek, modern apartment downtown, a place I suspect Chase might have helped her find, or maybe even shared. The silence she left behind in our house wasn't peaceful. It was thick with the echoes of broken promises, and the overwhelming responsibility now squarely on my shoulders. I became a single, full-time dad overnight. The learning curve was vertical. I had always been an involved father, but being the only one doing the school runs, making every meal, handling every bedtime meltdown, and remembering every dentist appointment was a brutal new reality. I lived by a color-coded calendar on my phone. I was constantly tired, but a strange thing happened. In the chaos of caring for Lucas and Emma, my own heartbreak was forced to take a backseat. There simply wasn't time to wallow. The kids' grief was the hardest part. Emma, 6, became clingy, needing extra hugs and asking to sleep in my bed. Lucas, 9, got quiet and angry, slamming doors when he couldn't find his soccer cleats, blaming me for Mom not being there to help. The first Wednesday overnight with Jessica was a disaster. Emma cried when I dropped her off at the neutral meeting spot, a coffee shop. Jessica shot me a look of pure venom, as if I'd coached the tears. When she brought them back Thursday morning, Lucas was sullen and Emma was hyper, buzzing on sugary cereal and iPad time, Jessica's idea of fun parenting to win points. The legal machinery ground on. Depositions were scheduled. Interrogatories, long lists of invasive questions about our finances and personal lives, were exchanged. My life became a cycle of kid logistics, work, lawyer meetings, and trying to sleep. Jessica's tactics evolved. With the victim narrative weakened by the judge's ruling, she switched to fun, liberated mom. Her social media, which I only saw because my sister Lisa monitored it, became a gallery of her new life. Photos of her at trendy restaurants, likely with Chase, but he was never in frame, selfies from her chic apartment, captions about new beginnings, and finding herself. It was a calculated performance for the court of public opinion, and it made me seethe. Our children's lives were shattered, and she was posting avocado toast. The lowest point came 2 weeks after she moved out. I was helping Emma with a kindergarten, all about my family worksheet. She was drawing 2 houses. In one, she drew me and the dog. In the other, she drew Jessica and, carefully, a stick figure with big muscles next to her. She pointed at it. "That's Chase. His mommy's new friend. He has a cool car." My blood ran cold. "Oh? Do you see him a lot when you're at mommy's?" "Uh-huh. He plays Wii with me. He's nice." The casualness of it, the sheer normalization of this stranger in my children's lives, felt like a violation. She was integrating him already, without discussion, without regard for the confusion it caused. I texted Jessica, keeping it civil as Farnsworth advised, "Please do not introduce the children to your romantic partner until we have a formal parenting plan in place. It's confusing for them." Her reply was instant and bitchy, "Don't tell me how to parent during my time. He's a friend, and they like him. You're just jealous. Maybe if you were more fun, they'd be excited to see you." I forwarded the exchange to Farnsworth. He drafted a formal letter to Diane Carlisle, stating that further unilateral introduction of new partners could be considered parental alienation and would be brought before the judge. It temporarily stopped the chase sightings, but the damage was done. The emotional impact during this phase was a dull, constant ache, punctuated by spikes of anger and profound loneliness. I missed having a partner. Not Jessica, but the idea of one. Someone to share the burden with at the end of a long day. I'd lie awake after finally getting the kids to sleep, the silence of the house pressing in on me, wondering if I'd ever not feel so alone. But in the small, quiet moments, reading a book to Emma, helping Lucas with a math problem, even just making pancakes together on a Saturday morning, I found slivers of a new purpose. I was building something, not just cleaning up a wreck. It was fragile, and I was exhausted, but it was mine. I was no longer Mark, Jessica's husband. I was becoming Mark, Lucas and Emma's dad. And that identity, though born of pain, felt solid and true. I thought the temporary orders had set a clear path. I was naive. The setback hit from an angle I hadn't seen coming, my job. I'd been transparent with my manager, Dave, about the divorce, too transparent, maybe. I told him I needed some flexibility for kid pickups and lawyer meetings, but that I'd get my work done. He'd been sympathetic. Until the Friday afternoon, when I was called into a meeting with him and HR. Mark, Dave began, looking uncomfortable. We've had a complaint lodged against you. An external complaint. My stomach dropped. What kind of complaint? The HR rep, a woman named Gina, slid a printed email across the table. It was from a generic Gmail account, but the content was specific. It alleged that I was using company resources and time to conduct a campaign of harassment against my soon-to-be ex-wife, including making threatening legal demands during work hours. It cited specific dates and times of lawyer calls I'd taken from my desk. It said my unstable personal life was creating a hostile work environment for anyone near me. The language was formal, but the bitchy, manipulative fingerprint was all over it. Jessica. Or more likely, Diane Carlisle. This is related to my divorce, I said, my voice tight. These are legal necessities. I'm not harassing anyone. This is a strategic move from my wife's lawyer to destabilize me financially. We understand this is personal, Gina said, not unkindly. But we have to take the complaint seriously. An external allegation of using company time for personal legal matters is a concern. We are placing you on a performance improvement plan for the next 60 days. It will require strict accounting of your hours and tasks, and all personal calls must be taken off premises on your personal time. Any further complaints could result in termination. I felt the walls closing in. The PIP was a sword of Damocles. If I lost this job in the middle of a divorce, with me as the primary custodial parent, it didn't bear thinking about. Jessica knew exactly where to hit me. She couldn't get the kids back through the front door, so she was trying to blow up the foundation of the house I was providing for them. The emotional impact was a crushing return of the shock and anxiety I thought I'd moved past. The feeling of being stalked, of having no safe harbor, was overwhelming. My office, my source of income and stability, was now compromised. I drove home that night in a fog of pure terror. When I got home, the second blow landed. Lucas was waiting for me, his arms crossed. Mom says we might have to move, he said, his chin trembling. She says your job is bad now, and we might not be able to stay in this house. She said we could live with her and Chase in his cool apartment building that has a pool. Rage, white and hot, blurred my vision. She was fearmongering to my children. She was using them as emotional blackmail, poisoning their sense of security to make them want to flee to her. I knelt down, putting my hands on his shoulders. Listen to me, buddy. Our home is right here. My job is fine. Mommy is just worried, but she's wrong. You are not moving. This is your house. I promise you. But could I promise that? If the PIP failed, if I got fired, the house was for sale per the court order. Everything felt precarious again. That night, after the kids were in bed, I broke. I called my sister, Lisa, and sobbed on the phone, huge, gasping sobs I'd been holding in for months. She's trying to destroy me, Liz. She won't stop. She's going after my job, she's talking to the kids. I can't fight on all these fronts forever. You don't have to fight alone, Lisa said firmly. Forward that HR complaint to Farnsworth right now. That's tortious interference. And we'll get a child psychologist for the kids. A neutral third party who can document how this is affecting them and recommend limits on what she says to them. This is war, Mark. You have to use every weapon you have, too. Her words pulled me back from the cliff. The self-pity burned away, replaced by a colder, harder resolve. The next morning, I met with Farnsworth before work. This is a gift, he said, a grim smile on his face after reading the complaint. It's a blatant attempt to interfere with your employment. We'll file an emergency motion to amend the temporary orders. We'll request that all communication go through a court-approved parenting app only, that she be enjoined from discussing the case or your employment with the children, and we'll seek for her to cover your legal fees related to this motion. We'll also subpoena her phone records to prove the origin of that email. The pivot was sudden but complete. The emotional journey cycled back through shock and fear, but it didn't land there. It landed in a steely determination. The sadness was gone. The acceptance was no longer just of the divorce, but of the brutal, no-rules nature of the conflict. Jessica wasn't just my ex, she was my adversary. And I had to fight like one to protect my children and my livelihood. The battlefield had just expanded, and the stakes had been raised to survival level. I walked into work that day with my head up, logging my time with meticulous, defiant precision. Let her try. I was done playing defense. The emergency motion was a grenade rolled into the middle of Jessica's new, carefully curated, liberated life. Judge Rodriguez was not amused. The hearing was swift and brutal. Farnsworth presented the anonymous HR complaint, along with my work records showing my completed tasks and a declaration from my manager, Dave, stating that while the complaint had triggered a review, my work performance itself remained satisfactory. Then, the clincher, a subpoena to Google that had traced the anonymous email account to an IP address registered to Jessica's new apartment building. It wasn't conclusive proof she'd sent it, but the timing and motive painted a damning picture. Diane Carlisle tried to argue it was merely a concerned citizen, but couldn't explain the connection. Jessica sat, stone-faced, but I saw the panic in her eyes. The judge's ruling was a masterpiece of judicial scorn. The court finds the attempt to interfere with Mr. Thompson's employment to be a direct attack on the stability of the minor children's primary home, she stated, her voice icy. Effective immediately, all communication between the parties shall occur solely through the Our Family Wizard parenting application, monitored by the court. Any discussion of adult matters, including finances, legal proceedings, or employment, with or within earshot of the minor children is expressly prohibited. Mrs. Thompson is ordered to pay Mr. Thompson's legal fees associated with this motion. Failure to comply will result in further restrictions to her parenting time. It was a total victory. As we left the courtroom, Jessica finally looked at me. The bitchy mask was gone, replaced by something raw and hateful. You've ruined everything, she whispered. No, I said, walking past her. You did. I'm just building something new in the wreckage. The pivotal moment with the kids came the following week, during our first court-ordered session with a child psychologist, Dr. Evans. It was for an assessment to help determine their needs. Dr. Evans met with each child alone. When it was Emma's turn, she came out clutching a drawing. It was our old house, but split down the middle by a jagged black line. On one side, she'd drawn me looking sad, with a tiny speech bubble, I'm trying. On the other side, she'd drawn Jessica and a big, smiling Chase. The speech bubble from Jessica said, be happy. And from Chase, cool car. But at the bottom, in her shaky 6-year-old handwriting, she'd written, I want my mom to be my mom. Not his friend. Dr. Evans showed it to me after. She's trying to please both of you, she said gently. But she's profoundly confused. She's picking up that her mother's attention is divided. The injunction against adult talk is crucial. They need to just be children. That night, as I tucked Emma in, she asked, is Mommy in trouble? Why would she be in trouble? Because she made you sad and the judge got mad. The kid saw everything. The judge just wants everyone to be fair, I said, brushing her hair back. And you don't ever have to worry about making me or mommy happy. We are the grown-ups. Our only job is to love you and Lucas. She hugged me extra tight. I like it when it's just us sometimes. It's quieter. Her words were a bittersweet balm. The chaos Jessica had injected into our lives was taking a tangible toll, but in the quiet spaces she'd left behind, a new, fragile stability was growing. The emotional impact for me was shifting again. The anger was burning down to embers, useful only to fuel necessary legal actions. The sadness was now specifically for my children's loss, not my own. And a new feeling was emerging, a weary but solid competence. I was no longer the blind-sided husband. I was the general manager of a small, fractured but functioning unit. I managed schedules, emotions, legal strategies, and bedtime stories. The love I had for Jessica was a ghost, finally laid to rest. The love I had for my kids was the foundation of everything. I logged into the Our Family Wizard app for the first time. There was already a message from Jessica, stripped of her usual tone, just cold logistics. We'll pick up Lucas for soccer Saturday, at 9 a.m., as per schedule. I typed back, confirmed. His cleats are in his backpack. It was over. The marriage, the war of personalities, the hope for any kind of reconciliation. What remained was the business of parallel parenting, the endless logistics of a divided life, and the silent, steadfast project of helping my children heal. The battlefield was quiet, marked only by the digital receipts of a shared custody app. So here we are. 6 months since D-Day. The divorce isn't final yet, the legal system moves like cold molasses, but the battle is essentially over. The temporary orders are holding. I'm in the house with the kids until it sells. Jessica sees them on her scheduled weekends and Wednesdays, communicating only through the cold, unfeeling text of the parenting app. It's sterile, but it's safe. I survived the performance improvement plan at work. In a twisted way, Jessica's attack made me hyper-focused, and I came out the other end with a stronger reputation. The house is on the market, and the proceeds will be split. It's just an asset now, not a home. I've already started looking at townhouses closer to a good school for the kids. Chase is still in the picture, as far as I know. The kids mention him occasionally on their return, but it's less frequent. I think the court order and the psychologist's feedback took some of the shine off her happy new family performance. Last week, Lucas even said, Mom and Chase got in a big fight. He's kinda loud. I just nodded and said, I'm sorry you had to hear that, bud. No gloating. It just made me sad for my son. The emotional journey has been the longest, hardest trek of my life. From the initial shock that felt like a physical blow, to the white-hot rage that wanted to burn everything down, to the deep, hollow grief for the life and love I thought I had, to the paralyzing fear when she came after my job and my kids. Now, I've reached something I can only describe as quiet acceptance. I don't hate her. I pity her. She traded a real, if imperfect, family for the thrill of a secret and the bland comfort of a cliché. She's forever the villain in our family's story, and that's a heavy crown to wear. My love for her is dead. Not buried, just gone. Dissipated like mist. What I've learned, for anyone reading this in a similar hell. Trust your gut. I knew. 4 months, I knew. I explained away every red flag because the truth was too terrible. Your intuition is your first and best line of defense. Document everything. Texts, emails, receipts, a log of events. Emotion doesn't win in court, evidence does. It also keeps you sane when they try to rewrite history. Get a shark for a lawyer, not a therapist. You need a strategist, not a shoulder to cry on. Your friends and family provide the support, your lawyer provides the sword and shield. Do not move out. Stand your ground. Leaving can be construed as abandonment, especially regarding your children. Your children are the priority, not your pain. Their stability is the single most important thing. Do not badmouth the other parent to them, no matter how much you want to. It only hurts the kids. Be the calm, safe harbor. The person you married is gone. The one you're dealing with now is a stranger capable of profound cruelty. Do not expect fairness, honor, or the truth. Protect yourself accordingly. You will get through this. The pain feels endless, but it's not. One day, you'll realize you've gone a full hour without thinking about it. Then a morning. Then a whole day. You'll build a new life, piece by piece, and it will be honest. My resolution isn't a dramatic victory. It's a sober, daily choice. I choose to be present for my kids. I choose to build a life based on truth, even when it's ugly. I choose to not let her betrayal make me bitter or closed off. That's the final fuck you to her and the whole situation, to come out of this capable of trusting and loving again, someday, on my own terms. The story of Mark and Jessica is over. The story of Mark, Lucas, and Emma is just beginning. It's not the story I wanted, but it's mine, and I'm finally ready to write it. Thanks for listening. It helped more than you know.